before I start, first of all, I would like to say thank you to Michael and Ollie. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to show our great products. But before I start with the product, first of all, let me explain to you what or who we are. It's very important because you see this wonderful screen or panel, our superpower. Every superhero has a superpower. We might not be the fastest or aggressive ones, but this is who we are. These are our customers. They are likable. That's us. And this is why we are called Volkswagen, the car for the people. It's really quite appropriate. And this is why we have a chart here with the Volkswagen logo. That's us. We know it. We do it deliberately and analytically. This is exactly how we want to shape ourselves. And that's why we call the people's brand, the people's car. So that's a great thing. And we need to develop a strong brand on the basis of this. That's our task. So maybe in the past, we might have slightly forgotten it, but it's something that we want to now remember once again, like archaeologists. We want to really excavate this feeling once again. And here it says Volkswagen Design DNA. That's what we want to rebuild now. And I think we have an excellent example on the stage. And this shows you what the result of this work has been. Now, before I start, let me explain our design values to you. And they are based upon or derived from our brand values. Very important to us. Michael already said we have the archetypes as a basis for our development, that the caregiver, that results in stability, the everyday hero, which is likability, our superpower. It's here in the middle. And the first two values, they are actually the kind of homework that we always have to do, being stable and likable. And this is why we have to work particularly on the secret sauce. Now, it's based upon or derived from the idealistic creator. So the secret sauce is something that might have been missing to a certain extent at Volkswagen. And this is something that we are really emphasizing now. And let me explain to you how we do it. Let's go through this quickly. Stability. How can we become stable? Look at the lighthouse. It's a good example. It needs to be as solid as a rock in a storm. And this is one example, the C-pillar, which always connects the roof with the body. This creates stable design. The stance of the car, the flared wheel arches, a lean body, this creates a wonderful stance which makes for stability. And also in the interior, we have the horizontal connection, also gives a feeling of security, or safety to the people in the car. Likable. I think it's easy to explain. Everybody knows the Beetle and the Golf. I don't want to talk about it. We need eyes. We need a smile. It needs to be likable. It needs to be nice. And here we want to have, something that's different from all the other brands. We are not aggressive. We are nice. We are likable. And I think this is reflected in our latest designs. So that's the homework that we have to do anyway. This is a given. And many people ask me, now, Andy, what do you mean by secret sauce? What does it mean? And we broke it up into three areas. First of all, a certain sense of humor. We're going to demonstrate it with our vintage modes. There will be a cassette which plays in the car. And I have to explain to my children what a cassette is. So here, well, it's difficult to get started here. And then the golf ball in the rims, sense of humor. Then the customer expectations. We need to exceed our customers' expectations, even be better. That's the next point, with high quality, high level of quality. That's what we want to deliver. And our interior, which I'm going to show you later, nicely reflects it. Unexpected. That's a hidden sportiness. I don't need to explain a lot if I say Golf GTI. Now, that's a great product. You can use it for your shopping trip, and you can also drive quite fast in it. You can race it. So that's part of the secret sauce, but it's a hidden, a latent kind of sportiness. It's not an athlete. No, it's a great proportion, a great product. So, first of all, these are our design values. That's our foundation. That's what we use for shaping our cars. And now, let me take one step further. Let me talk about our task. At Volkswagen, just imagine, we have almost 50 different global model lines. Now, if I want to create a product identity, then I have to build clusters. And that's what we did. We clustered it. Now, on product identity, we have many customers with different requirements. And then product identity, we clustered this into 3 fields. And up until now, we had 2 fields. And now I can show you the third one. That's the lighthouse. for the beacon for what we're going to do in future. Three fields. First of all, elegance, the flat floor cars, then performance, the GTI. And then we have the cluster with the robust and sturdy cars. And here, for the first time, we have the ID Cross today. So the full range is covered here now. And this already shows you the three cars will be a beacon, a lighthouse for the portfolio that will come in the future. I can imagine that we will design a big brother for this car. We are going to do it, but I cannot tell you about it now, maybe next year. But let's step on it. Elegant. Here, you have the various explanations. This is our mood board, and this is what the basis for creating the ID Polo. We already have a show car of it for you. Now, our show cars can also be transferred into production cars, and it's possible. Then the GTI, we showed it 2 years ago in Munich. So that's performance, another design character, and it's a particular type of performance, not aggressive, no aggressive performance, but sustainable performance. So here, the sailing athlete shows you what we actually aspire to achieve, and this is the GTI. We showed it 2 years ago. So this was performance. And robust, another description. So it's a very sophisticated type of robust. It's not hiking boots, no. It's a bit more sophisticated, and the picture really describes quite nicely what we had in mind. And today, for the very first time, we've completed our portfolio. This is exactly what we want to translate into our portfolio in the next few years. So that's the direction in which we want to go. And now, and that's a really nice moment, now I'm going to quickly give you a run through the product. And let me tell you why the strategy and products so nicely tally with each other. That's very important to me. So first of all, seen from the side, we said we need stability. So flared wheel arches and also a lean body. I have the car here with me. It shows you, well, the short overhangs, that it really looks quite sturdy and stable, sitting there on its wheels. And if I take a look at the front, you can see the likability, the likable element. It's clearly reflected in the face, in the eyes, and also the rising lines are upbeat, optimistic, positive. This is why our new design direction is called Pure Positive, because it not only describes a form or shape, pure positive, but it also describes a mindset, optimism, upright, upbeat, and positive look to the future, positive attitude of the future. So here, this is what we've done. Well, really quite optimistic eyes that support our design. And the rear section, also very stable. For details, for instance, taillights, they are divided up in such a way that we always have a clean graphic design. The rear lid line goes all the way across it, and it's always stable and strong elements which are combined here. And another thing that was important to us, it's part of the secret sauce. A human eye is not just a sticker. It's not flat. It's not 2D. It's a depth 3D. Eyes, they have a certain depth to them. And that's what we are showing here. It's even animated. When you switch on the turn indicator, it doesn't go from right to left. It goes from the inside to the outside. It looks like a heartbeat. And that's something you can see on the show car. Then let me go on from here. And that's a great thing. Think about it. It's 4 meters and 16 centimeters. It's a very compact car. Easy to park, but it looks really quite big. Upright, offering a lot of space. So everything is really quite vertical, and the window graphics are all the way through it. The design elements are reminiscent of the bus early days of Volkswagen. But not only this, it also demonstrates that it's very spacious on the inside. And again, secret sauce, lots of surprises. In this car, 440 liters of luggage space, which is huge, just one indication. And then high value, high quality. And that's also part of our so-called secret sauce. We have simple, affordable plastic parts, which upgraded by the treatment they get, the finish they get, and they actually impart a much more refined quality to the design. It's a great way to make your cars more successful. Now, let's take a look at the interior. I promised you that we need stability. quality, the horizontal connections. And you can see that the door panel smoothly flows into the dashboard. And it's smooth padding, just like a modern living room. And this imparts a feeling of stability. You can see it here in the sketch, which is superimposed upon it. Now the horizontal lines go all the way from the doors to the dashboard. And this makes or gives the interior much spacious feeling. It looks much larger than it actually is. And then high quality is also reflected in the choice of materials, where we are reducing the number of plastic parts, replacing them by integrating high quality materials into the interior. What you can see nicely here, the button strip, which is going to look exactly the same. The switches always look the same in every Volkswagen. It's always going to be the same buttons and switches, so that you know exactly what to press in a Volkswagen, because it's identical for all cars. And here an overlay picture to demonstrate what I'm saying. And next picture, please. Okay, here, let's zoom into it once again. And in the details, you can see that the buttons here, these are physical buttons, and the buttons on the steering wheel are also tangible and physical. You don't have to swipe anything anymore. We have very stable operation, sturdy, stable operation, and the customer satisfaction values will definitely be as good as they used to be with those sturdy and physical buttons. This is how you do a proper Volkswagen. A couple of detailed pictures of the interior now. In the media hub, we have the show car, so the sibling, the brother with the correct interior, and you can see that high-quality materials were chosen, and it's not an empty promise. It's something we are going to also introduce on production cars, and you'll find them in the ID Polo already, and I think that should be a major surprise. A lot of secret sauce will go into it. Customers will really be surprised by the high quality of the materials. Very important point. So that's us. This is exactly what Volkswagen stands for. This is our superpower. From our customers, well, we analyze our customers, we respond to their feedback, we do our homework very diligently so that we can create such great products. I love this picture. It gives me goosebumps because that's us. It's our superpower. And now, just one more thing. We brought something for you, Stefan.
Yeah, you have it in your hands.
You have it in your hands. It's a book that we created together with RAMP. I saw Michael in the audience. Thank you for the cooperation. It's a book about us. And it's sensational, this book, and everything that I refer to is in the book, and everybody can take one of those books. It's here behind the wall. We are going to hand out those books to you. We have plenty of books for you. Everybody can take a copy. Well, quite a few of them are available. You just have to leaf through it and you can feel what I mean. It's very simple. And it's going to jog your memory. It's going to show you how Volkswagen design works. Okay, right. This is the end of my presentation. Enjoy the book. Thank you. Right. And now I'd like to hand over to Michael, but I think we are going to see a film in a car before that.
Yeah, the new 911 Turbo. Let me come back to a few more aspects in the design process before I'm going to share with you the details of this car. And very much like Andy, I'm going to talk about our design principles. Right. Now, let me tell you, there are always two pillars in our process. First of all, there's brand identity. We need to make sure that you can say, as Oliver said before, even at a distance, you can tell this is a Porsche, thanks to its brand identity. So brand identity is very important to us. And in a second layer, this is how we refer to it, we are able to imbue every single car with its own product identity. So in this case, this is the 911 product identity. Now, we defined a large number of elements there, and this benefit of working like that also consists in the fact that every single car is getting its own character, its own identity. But this also helps us to keep the design language fresh, because for every single new product, you are called upon to think about new elements. Now, of course, there's something that is very specific that comes in here, and this is the 911 product family. And within this family, the Turbo has got its own identity, the 911 Turbo identity. Basically, it's a model series within the model series. Now, many of those elements that characterize this vehicle significantly and clearly as a Turbo have developed over the years. During our panel talk, we were discussing the question how design and technology deal with each other. So the first Turbo with the massive rear spoiler, then the wide body of the Turbo. So there are many different elements with a technical background which then developed further, or have developed further over the course of years. And here, specifically, especially when you take a look at from the rear, then these are the elements of this Turbo. And let me say, of course, this is the view that most of you are going to see from this car. You're going to see it from the rear. And it's really the rear wing of the first Turbo that also was controversial in terms of its design, but there was a technical background to it, because we have a turbo-wide body. Now, for us at the design department, this is like a person wearing a T-shirt that is one size too small, and you can see it quite nicely, especially if we just stick to those two elements. And this is something that is also offered by the new Turbo. It's wider than the base on both sides, and of course it also comes with the rear spoiler, and I'm very happy to see that this is a little more subtly integrated here. But of course it can do a great deal in terms of technology, much more than the predecessor. Now let me briefly talk about the new Turbo and explain what it is about. What is very important to me in this connection is that the new Turbo 911 is an icon all by itself. It's the icon of the icons. And I'm firmly convinced that you shouldn't revolutionize its design or develop it further. So the icon in its key elements should be fine-tuned even more. Now let's take a short glance at individual elements. At the rear end, you can see the spoiler, but especially the rear apron in the lower area, on the sides, some new elements that clearly underline this Turbo identity. Then the air scoop on the side, which you all are aware of, then the Turbo rims, and at the front end, this is, of course, something where technology and design go together. That's adaptive aerodynamics with those lamellae here. And a small but very important detail, which I find, which of course will also make itself felt in the interior. This is the turbonite hue, because that's a very specific paint that has been developed for the Turbo, called turbonite. And as far as I know, the beauty here is that this is something that is a paint, a hue that has been named after the brand. And this is something that happens for the first time. So this name has now been included in the Pantone color range. So as I said, the icon has been fine-tuned clearly once again. And of course, here again, for this car, we offer a rich range of customization options, be it the paint you'd like to have. We've got more than 100 exterior hues. Then carbon is used. Also in the rims, this also helps us to improve aerodynamics there. Exclusive tail lights, all these things. This is what we stand for at Porsche. Now, let me very briefly come back to the design principles once again. Andy already mentioned those before. I already told you we are aligned or oriented towards the archetypical model, and you might want to discuss whether or not this makes sense, but nevertheless, it's helped us to come up with an even clearer picture of what we believe the Porsche brand stands for and what it embodies. So there's the hero that stands for precision and concentration and focus, with a very clear goal ahead. So focus is the key word, the buzzword here. Then there's the rebel that stands for uniqueness, the unexpected, non-conformity, and this leads to tension time and again. So it's the rear spoiler, very much like with the first generation. Many of you liked it. Very few didn't really like it that much, but still, it used to be a part that inspired many discussions. And of course, the founder of our company, the creator, already was mentioned. And he said that honest, authentic design, innovative, visionary, but always with a clear-cut purpose in view. So this is what we're standing here, and all those generations of the Porsche 911 Turbo stand for this. Now, let's take a short glance at the archetypical elements of the car. We're saying the hero, the supremacy, is embodied here. So everything stands for the iconic character and the iconic power, and the design tells you how this power is translated onto the road. You can feel the focus, because we want to make performance an experience and tangible. So we have always tried to push the limits. This is also a symbol of this non-conformities, and there's a great deal of tension in the design. And as I mentioned, the rear spoiler and the internal discussions that we always have there are a wonderful example of what I just described. And then, of course, there's this creator theme. That's the ultimate expression of this innovative engineering and design culture. All these technical requirements need to be met here. Now, let me just take a look at the side panel at the rear, and we've been able to bring in the creative spirits from the production side, so as to come up with such an innovative combination of form and function. And I think it's always great to have a super sports car that is able to also be not that loud. So thank you very much for your kind attention. Now I'd like to hand over to Chris Benjamin. He's going to explain.
So, of course, the Americans brought a monster truck to Germany. It really is a passion project for us, this latest iteration of the Terror. We did a few things with this one that we wanted to share. We wanted to show the possibilities of how you could accessorize the vehicle. So a very strong side step here, 37-inch tires sitting on 18-inch steelies. In the front of the vehicle, we have a bull bar, very strong, in case some of your friends in other vehicles get stuck, you can pull them out. And then on the roof, we've got the roof rack with a basket, the forward-facing lights, and then the chase lights in the rear. One of the coolest things is the color. We call it silo, green metallic. And it is inspired by our heritage. It's inspired by agriculture. So imagine you're inside of a silo, and the corn is reflecting onto the steel of the side of the silo. That's the color you see. That's where it comes from. And we find inspiration everywhere around us, all over the place, even when we're not on the ground. Scout is synonymous with plaid, and it's easy to do on the inside of the vehicle. There's so many opportunities, so many places you can do it. But how would you show it on the outside? When you fly in a plane, and actually when I was flying into Munich on Saturday, when you are flying over crops, that's what you see. And I call that Earth's plaid. So we were inspired by that, and we used that to design and define the harvester logo that you find on the side of the vehicle. So when you get the range extender, you get the harvester, we have the Earth's plaid logo on there, and essentially it is a crop of fields. We have a small combine or a harvester removing one row of crops, but that's just the fun that the design team has with all of these little details in the vehicle. Of course, the rest of you out here can't see the inside, so I've got some images for you. The first thing you'll notice is the strength of the instrument panel, very horizontal. The upper brow and the lower frame the technology on the inside. And then one other thing that we did that is reminiscent of the heritage of the vehicle is thinking about the Scout 2, that deep undercut of the brow. And we did it in a cool way that allows us to have the screens floating through there. So you see this deep undercut, you see the hemp wood coming out from underneath it, and you get that very cool sensation from it. And then bringing in the terracotta color on the leather, bringing that across the rest of the interior, across the doors, across the top of the instrument panel, we created something that is warm and light and brings a human touch to the interior, which is very grounding. And then you move along the doors and you see that pattern that you found on the seats that's also in the doors. It's a plaid pattern. And what we do is we reimagine the heritage. And so the plaid isn't showing up as traditional plaid, but we're using the perforation on the seats and on the doors to create that same pattern. And then, of course, we wanted to make sure that the interior was very strong, very usable. So these very rugged, very tactile switches that you'll find throughout. On the HVAC, for example, in the center of the vehicle, on the overhead, the off-road switches that are specifically for that function, these very heavy-duty toggles. Even on the steering wheel, making sure that even the driver is in command with very easy to use, very easy to find controls. And then even for the passengers, a volume knob on the side of the screen that resembles the chronograph on a watch, because designers also have a thing for watches, if you didn't know that. And then we could have done a digital compass like everyone else, but that's boring. Why do that? So we did a physical compass because we could. And also, as a Scout, you want things to be manual. You want them to be reliable. And you want to be able to find your way no matter where you are in the world. And after the compass, come back outside the vehicle, and we want to talk about what we say is the business end of the vehicle. Now, if you look at the rear of the vehicle on the image up here, we've got a full 5.5-foot bed, and we thought about how it's used, how people use it in their everyday life, and then we thought about something else. How do people incorporate vehicles into their life, into their lifestyle? And that's when you think about the American garage. The American garage is symbolic of so many things. Hell, Apple was started in an American garage. But that's where the tinkerers, the makers, the doers have their fun. It's where they teach their children how to fix their cars. It's where they create memories. And what we also have, you'll see in the image, in the lower left, we have a series of Scout boxes. And one of those Scout boxes is in here on the back of the pickup truck. And what we did was we also created a set of tools, because just doing the vehicle wasn't enough. So what we actually have in here is a full set of tools, shovel head, heavy duty, so you can take it, dig a hole, do whatever you need to do with it. but it really does create a full 360 experience for the users. And then thinking about how people live, we also created a full set of those tools. So thinking about the cam locks, thinking about having a lug wrench, and really having all of the things in place that you need to do the things that you need to do. But at the end of the day, what is this all for? What is it all about? It's really about this. It's about finding that time with your loved ones, having a good time, having your light with you, and living your life and being the absolute best scout that you can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this inspiring presentation. Vielen Dank an Chris Benjamin, Scout.
Thank you very much to Chris Benjamin, Michael Maurer for Porsche, Benjamin for Scout, and now it's your turn, guests, colleagues. Please, I'd like to ask my colleagues to join us up here on the stage. The cars are coming back onto the stage, and then you can have your interviews and take some photos. So thank you very much for coming here, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.